Hello everyone, I'm Alfian and today we are going to solve the Hackerrank challenge on the data structure section called the left rotation. And for this particular challenge, this description says a left rotation operation on a circular array shifts each of the array elements one unit to the left. The elements that fall off to the left and reappear at the right end. Given an integer d, rotate the array that many steps to the left and return the result. And the example, it says the d parameter consists of 2 and the array itself consists of 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. After 2 rotations or the 2 left rotations of the array, then it will return 3, 4, 5, 1 and 2. And then the explanation says to perform D, which is 4 left rotations, the array undergoes the following sequence of change. Is that 1 will be removed from the array, and then as it removes from the array, then 1 will be replaced on the end of the array. And then for the next left rotation of the iteration number 2, and then 2 will be removed from the start of the array and will be placed at the end of the array. And this operation goes on until it hits the 4 rotation count, and then we are using the Java 7 as the implementation. If you want to use specific language that you love, you can do that, but for the sake of the video I am demonstrating this using the Java 7. And the function says public static list integer, and this is the expected output from the function. It's already typed here as the list of the integer, and the name of the function itself, which is rotate left, and it carries the parameter of d in a form of integer and the one-dimensional array of list integer called the array parameter. And since the challenge itself doesn't define of what we should do, like either we should mutate the array right here, modifying it in place, or we're creating a shallow copy of the array. And for this particular challenge, I'm going to solve this using without mutating the original array by creating a shallow copy of the array by declaring the list of integer called the rotated array, and then we construct new ArrayList using the diamond brackets or the angle brackets, and then define our data type as the integer. And don't forget the parentheses since we are using a constructor function right here. And then let me visualize this by using the Excalibur drawing. And for the Excalibur, we have an array of 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. In order to remove the 1 from the array list and moving it to the back of the array, and since we're working on array list, then we can simply use the array and remove the index that we want to remove, which is 0, and that way we are removing 1 from the array. And then we are, let me recreate this of the array, and then the array will be, after we remove the 1 from the array, and then the array structure will be like this: 2, 3, 4 and 5. Since 1 already removed, then we have to store 1 to the end of the array by using the ArrayList.add. And add function is a function to add an element to the end of the array, and adding the, since we add, and then we can pass in the element that we removed earlier to the end of the array. Let's say adding 1 to the end of the array. After we add 1, the array result will be like this: 2, 3, 4, 5, and then adding 1. And in short, to visualize this, I'm using the array remove of the first index, and then we are removing 1 from the array, and then the 2, 3, 4 and 5. And then the array will be consisting as that 2, 3, 4, and 5 without the next empty element. And then after we add 1 to the end of the array, then 1 will be placed right here. And then for the next iteration, let's say if the d is 2, and then we have to rotate it using the left rotation 2 times, and we already moving the 1 to the end of the array, then we need to move the 2 from the start of the array to the end of the array by removing the 2, just like the operation on 1, and then 2 already removed, and 3 will take its place to the first index, and then it will be like this: 3, 4, 5, and 1. And then we add 2 that we already retrieved from the remove. We add 2 to the parameter, and ultimately adding 2 to the end of the array. And that way we have our result right here to be returned from the function. And so let's go back to our implementation, and I will show you something interesting. But before that, we have to use the for loop for in I is equal 0 as long as I is below the t, which is the times of the rotation, left rotation. Then we can I plus plus, and then we have to remove the first element from the rotated array that we declare right here. But since we are copying the array parameter right here to our rotated array, then we can simply construct the array list of integer, and inside the parentheses we can simply insert the array as the argument or as the parameter to make a copy of the array into the rotated array, so that the rotated array has the same elements as the array parameter right here. In other words, we are creating a shallow copy of the array parameter into the rotated array variable right here. And so for the rotated array, we can simply use the remove, since we are working on array list. If you look closely, then the remove function takes the argument or parameter of the index, of which index that we want to remove, in a form of integer. And if you look closely on the, let me enlarge this. If you look closely on the right side of the IntelliSense right here, or the suggestion, it's called integer. And integer, from the remove function right here, it's removing the element from the index that we inserted in the argument right here. And after the element has been removed from the based on the index, then the removed element can be stored in a variable. So that's why it says integer right here. And for that, we can simply remove the first element of the rotated array and store it, and store the removed element into the integer called the store. And that way we are storing the first element that we already removed into the store variable right here. And that way you have more knowledge from this tutorial. And for the next one, we have to store append the new element into the rotated array by using the rotated array and passing the add function. It takes the integer as the parameter, then we can pass in the store as our parameter to the end of the rotated array element. And after that, we can simply returning the rotated array, and there you have it. So let's run the code to see if it works. Okay, so let's submit this to make sure it's all working correctly. Okay, so that's about it. I hope you understand this video. If you still don't understand, you can ask me in the comment section, or if you have any better solutions regarding this challenge, you can tell us what you think and the solution in the comment section. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.